Hello, welcome back to another one of my book reviews. I feel like it's been a while since I've done like a proper sit down and chat about a book video, even though I've been reading loads this year. But I feel like most of my book reviews are just going into my favourites. Although I am planning later on in the year to do like a tier ranking of all the non-fiction books I've read this year. But as of when I am filming this, it's only August, so I'm gonna have to wait till the end of the year to film it and then see where I can slot it in to upload it. And I do feel really bad that this video is only going up, I think, in December, because the book I'm going to be talking about isn't published yet, or isn't readily available. It's called Ghosted by Sarah Reddy, and I read an advanced audiobook version of this, like an advanced copy of it. I'm just gonna double check the narrator. Okay, the main narrator was Sarah Norton, and there was a little bit as well by Rob Brinkman. Now, originally when I saw that there were two narrators and a male and a female, I was hoping that it would be two different perspectives. I love books with multiple perspectives, and having read the blurb, I was like, oh, that could really work. But unfortunately, that's not really how it was. But that's alright, I still really thoroughly enjoyed this book. Actually, before I start talking about the actual book itself, I just quickly want to explain how I managed to get an advanced copy of the audiobook, and also why I am making this review, because they're linked. There is a platform called NetGalley, I'll link it below, that gives readers a free advanced copy of either ebooks or audiobooks in exchange for an honest review. And that review can be on the NetGalley platform itself, it can also be on Storygraph or Goodreads, it could be on TikTok, Instagram or YouTube, or anything along those lines. So hence this video, but as I said, they are asking for honest reviews. So if it was rubbish, I could say that. But it wasn't rubbish. It was very, very, very good. This was my first experience with an advanced copy of anything ever, so I did feel very special. I was like, ooh. But honestly, what drew me to this? Well, first of all, it was a book that was available now, and it was an audiobook, but the cover, I'll show it over here. Look at how beautiful, I personally think anyway, that's a gorgeous cover. And then as I said, I saw the two narrators and I thought, ooh, that looks good as well. Let me see if there's a blurb I can read out quickly. Gillian Najat is the only dating and relationship expert on the planet who is incapable of speaking to men. If they're living, if they're breathing, it's game over. With her bank account at zero, her career a dumpster fire, and her dating life in a 10-year slump, she moves into a tiny, dirt-cheap NYC apartment. Unfortunately, the apartment is already occupied. Daniel, no last name, is a sexy, shirtless, six-pack wielding heartthrob who is also dead. He isn't living, he isn't breathing, he's a ghost. He's also the only man on the planet that Gillian can talk to. Soon, Daniel's convinced that it's his afterlife mission to resurrect Gillian's love life. He knows if he helps her fall in love, then he can move on. Gillian agrees. The last thing she needs is a Lothario ghost haunting her living room. But then, one practice date leads to another, one confession leads to more, and suddenly Gillian fears she's falling for the one man she can never have. I'll be honest, I didn't even read that full blurb when I first picked up this book. I think I got about as far as seeing that there was a ghost living in her apartment, and that was about it. But I honestly, genuinely, really, really enjoyed this book. To begin with, I loved the narrator, and I've recently learned that that actually makes a really big difference. I used to think like everyone was just as good as each other, but this month I read a book that was like painful, and I'm sure it was a good book, but it just, listening to it, like drove me mad. So this was just a really lovely, easy, pleasant read and listen to. It had a nice opening, an interesting opening, which I enjoyed. There were a couple of nice plot twists and things you might not see coming, and bits where you're like, ooh, how is this gonna work out? I loved also all the characters. They all had like interesting details to them, and it was just nice to watch them and to follow them and to find out more about them. Obviously it was a love story, so I enjoyed that. I like love stories, and it felt really heartwarming. I was reading it and I just felt, you know, literally warm inside. I was like, oh. And my overall word for the book that I would use to describe it is just beautiful. It made me very happy. The only, like, not even a negative point, but the only not necessarily amazing point that I have to say is that it was very descriptive, which for me, personally, I enjoy. I like having that, at least the way Sarah Reddy did it. But I can imagine that that's not for everyone. But everything was, like, described really nicely, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this book. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you again to NetGalley for giving me an advanced copy of this audiobook. I'll definitely be using that platform more to read more and to make more reviews, so be prepared for that. And yeah, this just felt like a really light, easy, good, nice read that made me happy. So that's all, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!